You know, when I was in business school, the most horrible subject of all was accounting. You know, I was sound asleep in accounting course. And on top of that, I argued with the accounting teacher because the accounting teacher had no idea what accounting was. The guy was an idiot. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is more appropriate today because if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this is all it's about. It's about a financial statement. Income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. How could it not be relevant when 99% of all people graduating from school don't even know what a financial statement is? And if they do, they probably had the same accounting teacher I had, Mr. Boring, who wasn't really an accountant. He had a master's in accountancy, but he had never been an accountant. So that's why I created the cash flow board game, because accounting is the most important subject for individuals, because this is what your banker wants to see. Your banker wants to see your financial statement. This is your report card when you leave school. If you have good financial statement, bankers will give you all the money you want. See, bankers have never asked me for my grades or my college I went to. Mike, I want to say this. You have this, I'll give you all the money you want. Point out really, really quickly the differences between what they're teaching in school and what we at Rich Dad teach. So this is the very big difference. Like I said, most school teachers are like my poor dad, and this was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What you're seeing here is a financial statement. You know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book on accounting, the most boring subject on planet Earth. But book number 2 of Rich Dad was this one here. And this was called the cash flow quadrant, right? You have E, S, B, and I. So, test for you. What does E stand for?
Employee.
Good. And what do employees always say?
That they work for money.
But they want job security,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
paycheck, and pension.
Yes.
Okay. What does S stand for?
Self-employed.
They're small business owners.
Yes.
Doctors, lawyers.
They work for tips.
They work for tips now. So they're self-employed. Mm-hmm. And B stands for what?
Big business owners.
So 500 employees or more.
Yeah.
And I stands for what?
The investor.
Investor. It's more than just investor, it's insider. You see, this is like Shark Tank on the TV shows. These guys here have done this and they've done this. So this was my poor dad, this side. This was Rich Dad here. So the difference, that's what schools are not teaching you, is what's the difference between these people and these people. That's the big difference. And that shows up. So when I was about your age, I had to make a decision. I was a pilot. You know, most of my friends went to fly for the airlines, but I'd be here. Or I could be, I could be in Alaska flying fishermen around the place, a pilot with a small plane and, flying around the place. Or I could own an airlines, or I could invest in airlines. And that's the difference in the mindsets and skill sets. You don't just make crossings. The education is extremely different on this side than on this side here. I know most millennials, they want a high-paying job. They want to be able to pay the rent, eat, and all this stuff. And then you dream of the big house, a nice car, and all that. But that's why 99% of Americans are broke, because their heads are on the wrong spot. So when I asked Kim if she would take an accounting course, it was just 2 days. I wanted to see if her head could get into the asset column. That was the difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, and actually, it didn't happen right at that moment, but
You fell in love with me?
Of course I did. Of course I did. But this started the journey on investing. This started the journey on assets. But I do remember the moment down the road where, just like everybody else, I was focused on the income column, get a job, get the pay raises. If you're an hourly wage, work more hours or raise your hourly wage. So I was always focused here. And then finally, this is after we'd actually bought some investment properties, the light finally went on, and I'm like, instead of focusing on acquiring income, what if we focus on just acquiring assets, that the assets go into the income column?
Like this.
So that was a huge shift
Shift.
in my mindset. And once that shift happened for me, I don't think about the income column anymore. I just think about the asset column.
And that's our game called cash flow.
Yeah.
And so when Kim and I met, we had nothing. It took us 10 years to go from nothing to financially free.
Wow.
So she was 37, I was 47. But that's the power of focusing on
The asset column.
assets versus liability. Most people are so busy working for money, so busy trying to pay their bills, and so busy buying liabilities they think are assets. So my first gift to Kim was the counting game to get her head in here, and today we're financially free, and that's the whole thing. So everybody can do it. It's a matter of putting your head into the right column. And then for me, it was in '73, I took my first real estate investment course here. I'm free. You know, I lost money, made money back, but I never got out of the asset.
We're still practicing here every single day. I'm working on a new project right now in the asset column. It's going to put a lot of cash flow into the income column because, again, we're focusing on the asset column, not the income column.
There's three kinds of money today that you guys got to be aware of. One is God's money, and God's money is gold and silver. So this is silver,
Yeah.
and this is gold. The reason I brought it is most people don't know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's government money, which is fiat currency, which is the dollar, the yen, the peso, the euro, the yuan.
Yeah.
Fake. And everybody's working hard for it. It's like eating fake food or drinking fake water. That's why people are getting sick financially, because they're working for fake money.
Yeah.
Okay? And then there's fake assets, which was another part of the fake millennial, the fake generation series. But the reason I brought this here is most people haven't seen it. This here is real silver, plata. Okay? That's what it looks like. And so in 1972, and this here is gold.
Yeah.
This is God's money. This is what God's money looks like.
Yeah.
The reason I call it God's money is you can't fake it. You know, you can fake it with a fake ETF, like a gold ETF or a silver, which I don't touch because it smells as bad as the guys that printed that crap. You know what I mean? Jesus. But this is real money. So you look at this here. When I first started buying that, that was $1.40.
Yeah.
Today, that's $16. And this here is oro, gold. And the reason we brought it in is most people haven't seen or touched. This is real. This is God's money.
Yeah.
Why did I say it's God's money? Because it was here when the earth was created.
Yeah.
And it'll be here when we're all dead and gone. When you're saving those fake dollars, this will still be here.
Yeah.
Or those fake ETFs or those fake stocks. So this here is called the green box. There's 500 of these little tubes like this.
Wow.
500 coins in here. And this is one, which is worth more.
Which one's worth more? The gold.
Yeah, this is worth more than all that. Now the reason I say this is because for your generation, this could be the biggest opportunity you'll ever see. I'm not making any commissions on this stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But if you look at what happened with the fake central bank, see the purpose of the central bank or the Fed or all, you know, the Japanese bank, the Bank of Japan, the European Central Bank, they pump out fake money. The purpose of central banks like the Fed is to protect the banks, not you. They're a criminal operation as far as I'm concerned. You're going to find that most of my talks is about the Fed. So I would recommend you guys buy this stuff. Don't save money. Don't save government money, because they're corrupt as hell, as you know. Save God's money. In school, they compensate for risk by telling you to memorize the right answer. So in other words, these kids leave, young people like you, leave school thinking, oh, if I know the right answers, then there's no risk. And it drives old guys like me crazy. Because everybody's talking about millennials. What's wrong with them? You know, millennials are the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phones. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings, you might make a mistake, you know, and that just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here, because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter.
Yeah.
You know, so you may know the answer, but you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And one of the best things I had is I went to military school, then I went to flight school. I had such great teachers, you know. All of them could fly. You know, so my flight instructor could fly. What a novel idea. You know, a flight instructor can fly. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified. They're all cowards, you know. Job security, don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe. And that's why most school teachers aren't rich.
Yeah.
They teach that to your generation.
Yeah. And most of them are teaching us things that they don't do on a daily basis. Like we have entrepreneurship classes.
Oh!
And they're
Don't get
not
me started.
entrepreneurs, you know? So it's kind of frightening when you think we're relying on the school system.
Oh.
And the fact that they're teaching us, so the way to get through college, right, is practicing all the right answers, taking the exam, putting in all the right answers.
Yeah.
When in real life, that's the last thing that'll ever happen, right?
No. Like, you talk about fake, you know, this is my book, Fake here. Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. The reason it's fake money, fake teachers, and fake assets is because it all has to be fake. You have to have fake teachers to understand fake money. Then you have to have fake assets to buy those stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, fake assets. But without fake teachers, fake money, you can't do it. So that's why I love working with on these programs. Because if you're going to be successful, you've got to take some risk. Most of the young people your age today, you know, a lot of them want to become entrepreneurs. The problem with this, you have to understand tax. You see, this is all over the world, very little difference. These guys pay 40% of their money in taxes. So they make $1,000, they're going to spend $400 in taxes. These guys that make $1,000, they're going to pay 60% in tax. So our schools are teaching entrepreneurship, but they're not teaching them tax, okay? And because they're focusing on income. Over here, it's 20% in tax. So they make $1,000, only $200 goes to tax, and these guys, 0%. So the reason financial education isn't working in our school systems is they're teaching financial education for these people and these people, but to really become rich, you have to focus on this side here. And that's the difference between a rich dad and the financial and what they're teaching in school right now. I'd rather be on this side. This side is a lot harder, but in the long run, it's more fun for me. On this side here, it's harder, but you're paying tax constantly. So these guys here are saying tax the rich. Well, these guys don't pay taxes. And as strange as that may seem, and I'm talking about legal, this is all over the world. So that's the big difference here. One last thing, which I think most millennials understand, is, you know, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I wrote about Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's. And he was teaching at the University of Texas, the MBA program. And Ray asked, and most of the MBAs are going to come out here. So Ray Kroc asked him, he says, what business is McDonald's in? And everybody yelled and said, no, we know, you're in hamburgers. And Ray says, no, we're not, McDonald's is not hamburgers. McDonald's is in the business of real estate over here. So what you have McDonald's here, and the money McDonald's makes buys the real estate. And that is my formula. This is Rich Dad. I own real estate. I don't hang out here. I'm glad you guys are here, right? And we do our best to make sure you're educated and you have your own businesses and things like this here. But really the formula I follow personally is McDonald's. We have an education company that buys real estate, which means we make a lot of money, pay 0 taxes, legally. What does school teach you about money? Nothing. You know, balancing a checkbook, I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. So the other part of when you look at this financial statement up here, that's what your banker wants to see. Your banker doesn't care about your grades. Banker doesn't care what school you went to. I meet so many people say, oh, my banker won't give me any money. This is what, because you don't have one of these. And when you look at most of the politicians today, they don't have one of these either. The US government doesn't have one of these anymore. They stopped doing this because of the US government, the budget is so out of balance, they can't do anything. So that's why, you know, 22 years ago, in 1996, I created the cash flow board game. The purpose of this, so people could teach people what our school systems will never teach you. Never. Because they don't know it. Because evidence is now coming out that the school system was hijacked by the ultra-rich years and years ago to never teach people what I know, what my rich dad taught me. So that's why most of our political leaders are broke. They're poor people. You know, who makes the most? The politicians, they got paychecks for life, they get benefits for life, and they got all this stuff, but they're doing a horrible job. So you're going to depend upon the government to take care of you? That's crazy. You know, a lot of people don't like Trump, you know, I understand why. But he really understands this stuff. I know, because he's my friend. We wrote 2 books together. This is how the rich think. Even if you hate Trump, and Trump doesn't pay taxes. That's why he doesn't want to show you his tax returns. I mean, you got to be crazy. So they'll never teach you this in school. And there's a reason for it, to keep you working harder and harder and harder. So we created this board game here. As you play it 100 times, your brain will change. Because you're doing something. The game is changing all the time in front of you. It's not invest for the long term of the stock market. I hope it works for you, but you know, markets crash every 10 years. So I like this game a lot better. This is the real game of life here. So the point here is this: people can teach people. Don't expect the government to take care of you.